This episode of DODTV is brought to you by RTP Outdoors, home of the groundbreaking Groundbreaker 3-in-1 food plot implement.
All right, so big project, like great big. I've been doing this since 1999 with Mark and Terry. A buddy calls me up and says, hey, I got a farm in Southwest Missouri. It's rough, it's raw, but I think you can turn it into a whitetail farm. It's a blank canvas. There's not a stand, there's not a food plot, there's not a blind anywhere on this place. So what are the key elements you're looking for? Can you food plot it? Is there a lot of cover? Is there water? And I think the most important thing is, can you access to where you're not interrupting or intruding on deer? This farm answered all those things. Access is mega key. I can't state that enough. You do not want to go in or come out blowing through deer to your food plots. That's rule number 1 through 5 in my opinion. It's got all those things. So I'm gonna farm a partnership with Tyler Ball Food Plots. He comes highly recommended. He's got the equipment and he's got a knowledge of the ground. He's gonna assess it with me. We're gonna talk about where we want the food plots, and then he's gonna write up what he calls a management plan for this property. And it's essentially where the food plot's gonna be, and then I'm gonna put box blinds and ground blinds and tree stands to hunt from every different wind direction. The thing I really want to do is I want to take that 20-year knowledge that I've acquired in southern Iowa, in northern Missouri, and see if I can take some of those key learnings, replicate it on a place down in southwest Missouri. All right, Management Plan 101. We toured the property. I've looked at it before, he's looked at it before. Now we're coming together with a plan and we're gonna execute on said plan. And how are we gonna execute on it? Part 1, it needs 7 new gates with posts, fence fixed and cleaned up. There's 2 or 3 food plots we identified that need cleaned up with a skid steer.
Right. We'll have the skid steer here and all the equipment here. We may as well fix the roads. It's not going to take long to do that. So less hauling of equipment and whatnot.
Then we'll go to part 2, food plots. This is a pretty good sized farm. We want to put about 3% of it into food. So we're going to put 21 acres in. Most of that'll be non-typical or Clover Plus from Biologic. I'm going to do half and half. And then we're going to put a 5-acre destination food plot right in the middle. So a couple questions I would have. Time of the year for clover. When is good in southwest Missouri to plant that?
Always weather dependent, and we can't have really consistent springs, it seems like, but we like to plant clover in March. Late March, early April is the time, if the weather allows it. Okay. So we want to get away from the frost as much as we can, but still utilize those spring rains on our clover. What we'll like to do is we'll soil test everything first. Okay. And see what that soil needs. Then we'll go in, if it needs vegetation removal by mechanical ways, you know, we'll either brush hog it or skid steer removal. And then once it starts to green up, we'll hit it with glyphosate and get a good burn down on it. After that, it depends on soil consistency. If it's hard packed soil, we might disc it up a little bit first to help break some of that top layer up, and then harrow it. Then we'll run a drill over it and we'll drill it. So. Okay.
I like it. All right, and then part 3, hang the stands, put up the box blinds, and be ready to go September 15th.
Fine tuning, yeah.
Perfect, okay.
Phase 1 is gates, fencing, and all skid steer work. So fixing all the roads, clearing all the areas for our food plots or future food plots. We have all of our materials on site. Now it's time to go to work.
Time is of the essence. So when you've got a farm that's farther away from your house, partnering with a wildlife manager or an equipment manager, somebody that has the equipment, the tractor, the fertilizer spreader, et cetera, you want to have somebody close that can haul the equipment for you so that you don't have to do it yourself.
One of our main goals when we manage a property for a client, aside from improving the habitat, is providing access to the property. So our goal on this place is to make it usable. So if we need to drive a truck or an ATV, we have a way of doing that.
If you're an outdoorsman, you know that weather's part of it. So we looked at DeerCast a lot to figure out when we could plant, when the weather was going to be dry enough, when the rains were coming, because once Mother Nature shuts that spigot off, she dries up for a while.
We finally got some good working weather. I tell you, it has rained and rained and rained. And all these fields are still very wet, but we're finally able to get some work done and get some seed in the ground. Because of all the rain, we've had to spray 3 times, and we'll get that crop killed off. A new crop will come up because of all the moisture. It's been a struggle this spring, but I think we're going to get them in. Everything that we planted last week, on the days that we could plant, everything's germinated and looking good.
In the partnership with Tyler, the thing I'm learning is, he said it, we say it all the time, I don't do it often enough, soil sample each individual food plot and then customize the fertilization for what the soil requirements are. That way you can maximize antler development, food growth, and tonnage. And then hope like heck we picked correctly and we get on a big one this fall. All right, so I've looked at this aerial. I know where I want to be, so working with Tyler after he's put in the clover, the green plots, I want a couple of options. You need killer northwest wind spots. That northwest wind works great for September, October, November, December, and January. When those fronts come, traditionally, they come with a northwest wind. You know, in my older age, plus I've got young Henry with me, I'm more of a box blind hunter than I used to be. So I'm putting up a lot more of the muddy bulls, muddy penthouses, and less stands just because Henry's 8. I can't have him climbing up the trees that I can climb up. So we're going to do a lot of box blind hunting on this farm. Overall, it was a great year. I'm happy this whole picture came together. It gave me a lot of pride and joy to say that we put a plan together. I formed a partnership with Tyler. We took a blank canvas in February, and by deer season, we had one heck of a whitetail farm. And hopefully you all learned something from this segment, and you could replicate a couple things that we used here to benefit your whitetail herd.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DODTV was brought to you by Mossy Oak.